Don't bury the lead. We recap WWE SmackDown every Friday night after the bell. We're going to do something a little different tonight as a result of the fact that this is WWE SummerSlam. So we're doing it on a Saturday instead. My name is John Zedell. I'm joined by Dom Scarcella. Dom, go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Don't let the casual summer attire, because it's still hot and muggy here in Jersey, even on a Saturday night here, fool you. This is a big deal and a big show, SummerSlam. Without further ado, John, don't bury the lead. What's our top story from the second biggest pay-per-view of the year for WWE?
Yeah, Dom, we don't ever bury the lead. And the lead is Cody Rhodes knocks off Solo Sikoa with help from Roman Reigns, who makes a grand entrance at the end of the match, destroys Solo Sikoa, and Cody Rhodes goes in, does his thing, pins Solo Sikoa, and that's the match and for the main event. I thought it was a pretty good main event. It was a bloodline rules, so there was lots of people coming in and out all the time, and then finally we got Roman Reigns there at the end. Dom, what do you think of this main event at SummerSlam?
Well, we got a surprise return, which is we were waiting for something at SummerSlam to be a kind of a surprise return. We had surprises of other kinds during the night, but a surprise return at SummerSlam of Roman Reigns at the end there. This match goes about 29 minutes. The first 16 or so were just one-on-one, and then Tamatanga and Tangaloa hit, and that became the beginning of Bloodline Rules. And the schmaz lasted for another 13, almost 14 minutes there. So we had a lot of other people involved. Incredibly, the ref was not knocked out.
Yeah.
So kudos to the referee, whoever it was, who did not have to take an enormous bump tonight from a much larger man.
That's usually the bloodline thing. Yeah, the ref takes a bump.
That's the staple. So Tamatanga and Tangaloa come out. Kevin Owens' music hits. KO gets the advantage, but the numbers are too much. Randy Orton's music hits. They triple team Solo Sikoa. Snap power slam by Randy. Top turn senton by Kevin Owens. Crossroads. But Solo Sikoa kicks out. Then the cronies just fight our way to the backstage. Looks like we're getting a one-on-one match, but everybody knows we haven't seen Jacob Fatu yet.
Yeah.
So, of course, Jacob Fatu comes out as Cody Rhodes has the advantage. Eventually, top turn splashing Cody Rhodes through the announce table. But they play that Jacob seems to have injured his right leg. And so he's immobile down there on the floor up against the barricade and yelling at Solo Sikoa, you got to finish it. You have to take it from here. Solo Sikoa brings Cody Rhodes in. Top term splashes him, but Cody kicks out. Solo goes for the spike. And I wonder why more people don't do this. Cody just collapses to avoid it.
Yeah.
What a great defensive maneuver. He just collapses.
Mm-hmm.
So now Solo doesn't know what to do with him. So he kind of very slowly picks him up again. Cody recovers, hits a Cody cutter. Both men are down. And that's when the final music of the night hits that we hadn't heard yet. It's Roman Reigns. And he's wearing his OTC t-shirt. I'm going to take a guess as to what that means. Original Tribal Chief?
Yeah. I didn't know what that meant. So I think you might be right. Original Tribal Chief would be a good acronym there. The OTC?
Yeah, the OTC, kind of like the OG, but the OTC. Roman Reigns hits the ring, goes right after Solo Sikoa first. Superman punches him, then spears him, then he stares at Cody Rhodes. And instead of attacking Cody Rhodes, he leaves the ring, walks up the entranceway, maybe about halfway to where the bend is in the entranceway, because they're in a huge stadium tonight. It's a Cleveland Browns football stadium. So he walks about halfway up before they get to the bend, so he can still see the ring, and Cody can still see him. Cody just staring at Romans the whole way, wondering what he's going to do. Cody Rhodes grabs Solo Sikoa, gets him in the crossroads, still staring at Roman Reigns. Covers Solo Sikoa, still staring at Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3. Cody retains, still staring at Roman Reigns the whole time. And Roman Reigns kind of over his shoulder looking back at Cody Rhodes. Lots of things going on here. Was Cody Rhodes overshadowed in his title defense at the second biggest pay-per-view of the year?
Oh, wow. Coming in hot here.
Tell us in the chat. Tell us in the comments. John, you and I got to discuss, though, first. What do you think?
Yeah. So from my perspective, I really liked the beginning of the match. There was a slow pacing. There was a good back and forth. Solo is more than ready for the moment to be in the main event at SummerSlam. He was clean and crisp. There was some other stuff I have here about Solo Sikoa that I was really impressed with. Just really working the crowd, understanding where he was. He's way heel, right? He's way into the heel. He's not like a cool heel. He's not a tweener. He's a heel. And he's working the crowd so well. He did a couple reverses to the Cody cutter. They turned into a power bomb, which was good. And all in all, great pacing. So I loved how the match started out. And then once the Bloodline Rules thing hit, I said, man, we got to do this again. Because we had a championship match between a babyface and a heel. I just wanted to see it, But alas.
Real babyface, real heel. Not two tweeners, not the crowd split.
Yeah, I would have rather watched Solo and Cody have the match and have Solo lose. And then be like, oh, okay, this is a big win for Cody. Great match. But instead, we kind of did this, which I understand why it's all part of the Bloodline thing. And this is just how Bloodline matches work. And it looks like a lot of WWE matches are kind of working. As I noticed a trend tonight where nothing seemed to be that clean. There was everything was building to another storyline. But what did you think about this specifically? Do you think that Cody was being overshadowed by Roman?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, they built up to a big SummerSlam match, and then the SummerSlam match turned into just a jumping off point for the Tribal Chief War and the return of Roman Reigns.
Yeah. It's weird.
I thought he was. I thought he was. And I thought this was, I guess Cody didn't need necessarily a clean win here, but it is a little weird to me that, your main event gets overshadowed by somebody returning. And I wonder where they're going to go with this. Like, is Roman done with the movie project he was on and ready to jump back into being on TV regularly? Are we going to get the Bloodline showdown that we've been waiting for? Does that mean that Cody becomes more of a Logan Paul type champion who's not on TV every week and not constantly defending his title every premium live event and even sometimes in between? Because there's only so much time on TV, and so only so many people can be in your A storyline. So it seems to me that does Cody drop down a peg, or does the Bloodline drop down a peg here?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the direction is probably headed to Survivor Series or War Games, where you do Bloodline versus Bloodline. The Timu Bloodline, as they've been referred to sometimes, the knockoff Bloodline versus the original Bloodline. Because I know they were chanting for Jey Uso to come out when the Bloodline was down there. When the new Bloodline, Tama Tonga and
Bloodline 2.0.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe The Rock jumps back into it. I don't know if he would do a War Games or SummerSlam if he's like above that, if that's above his pay scale. But maybe The Rock gets involved now because Roman Reigns is back. He'll make his own Bloodline. You need to start to balance it out a little bit. Who knows? There's a lot of possibilities.
Fantasy book it. Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso versus Bloodline 2.0. Give me one more person for the OTC team.
Well, I mean, the thing is with the OTC team, you have to balance it out, right? Because if you put, Sammy
Who's going to be their
Zayn,
fourth? It's got to be a baby face if they're going
Sami
to play them
Zayn.
as baby. Is it going to be a returning Sami Zayn helping the bloodline?
It could. I just threw
Do
it out
they
there.
talk Sami Zayn into that's a great idea I hadn't thought of. Do they somehow talk Sami Zayn into helping the bloodline, the original bloodline, beat the bloodline 2.0?
Because they're going to be faces. It looks like Reigns is going to be a face.
Roman's team is going to. Jay's already a face. Jimmy could come back as a face pretty easily just by teaming with his brother.
Yeah.
Roman looks like a face.
Yeah. And then is Heyman going to be a face manager? Or does he get sucked back into the other bloodline? Who knows? They already destroyed him, so who knows?
Who knows? So, well, that's something to look forward to. Now, even we're doing the thing where we're overshadowing the main event and just fantasy looking ahead. We're doing exactly what WWE did tonight during its second biggest premium live event of the year.
Yeah, so that's the main event. Let's move on to the follow here. So I'll bring up the follow. So that's the lead. We talk about the main event. We talk about what we think. Good match overall. Great to see Roman Reigns come back. And, I wish it would have just been a regular wrestling match, but still good enough. So we're going to go into the follow here. What match do you want to talk about, Dom?
I want to talk about a development that affected at least two matches. The crumbling of Judgment Day. We saw Judgment Day members turn on each other to cost two members of the Judgment Day title belts.
Mm-hmm.
One who failed to recover the title belt that she had lost, Rhea Ripley, and another one who failed to retain his title belt, that being Damian Priest. So Finn Balor cost Damian Priest the World Heavyweight Championship against Gunther, and Dominic Mysterio cost Rhea Ripley her revenge match against Liv Morgan. Do you want to kind of combine them both or just talk about them separately?
Yeah, let's talk about the match. Let's talk about the matches separately. Maybe we can talk about Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley.
Okay, this is the first match of the night, and until the last match of the night, this was it also the only match where the champion retained?
Well, Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, until the last match of the night. This was the only match where the champion retained.
Yeah, because the U.S. the U.S. was gone.
Intercontinental was gone.
Yeah.
World Heavyweight Championship was gone. And the other women's championship switched as well.
Right, right.
We had Liv retained, then 4 consecutive switches.
Yeah.
And then Cody retained. So in a 16-minute match that I thought was pretty entertaining, especially when you got to lead off in a huge stadium when it's hot and muggy out there, and maybe the crowd isn't into it. And maybe you could speak to that more because you usually watch for that, as to whether or not the crowd in a huge stadium open-air show seemed like they were into this premium live event overall, and were there matches where they looked like they were into it, were there matches where they looked like a little fatigued?
I think to be honest with you, it's an American crowd, so it's not going to be like chanting and crazy. Like we've been kind of they're getting in. They're in there for a 4-hour show. It's the opener. They're into it, but they're not going to give you a ton unless it's amazing. Like Roman Reigns came back, they went crazy, but that was pretty much like they saved the times to go crazy, right?
Sure,
they pace themselves. They're Americans. We're not going to scream the whole time.
Right. We've seen this before.
Yeah. So, but I think that this was a good match. Rhea Ripley does the shoulder injury thing, and she's like, "Oh, my shoulder's out, and Dom's helping her the whole time. And just to see Liv Morgan retain, I was actually a little surprised, but to see that it was all part of a plan and a big turn for Liv Morgan and Dom Mysterio and Rhea Ripley. I thought it was really good, to be honest with you. And the reason I thought it was so good is because this is like one of those rivalries that's super storyline driven, right?
Yes.
Like So of course the match will be super storyline driven as well. Like
Mhm.
it's basically two women wrestling for Dom's affection. Um, and at the same time, Dom is also like calling Rhea Ripley mommy all the time. So I don't know. It's such a weird dynamic. But it's like he left his mother and now he's gonna have a real girl. you know? But you look at this match tonight, it was a lot of fun and it's cool Liv Morgan retained and it it pushes Rhea in the direction where I think she needs to head, which is to turn face.
Yes, I was just going to say, Liv is doing her best to play the chicken heel right from the start. However, there is a time early on in the match when the crowd is clearly split. You're getting a let's go Rhea, let's go Liv. Because you've got two people who are basically tweeners.
Yeah.
Liv is a heel, but she's a face. Rhea's a heel, but she's a face. And so this really did solidify that Rhea can now turn babyface, maybe being done with the bloodline.
Yeah.
Sorry, the Judgment Day. The Judgment Day was a heel faction. And if you noticed, after this match, backstage, Damian Priest was furious and asking Finn Balor and JD McDonough, did you know about this? Where's Dominic? Did you guys know about this? So it's like Damian was on Rhea's side, and then eventually Damian gets turned on as well. So it looks like Damian and Rhea, now free from Judgment Day, can turn face.
Yeah.
While Judgment Day can remain heel,
which
they were really good at. And now the question is going to be, without Rhea Ripley, who emerged as their leader, and without Damian Priest, who emerged as their maybe 1A leader, especially when Rhea was down, can the other guys in Judgment Day carry a really top-notch heel faction? But that's for Raw to decide in the coming weeks. As for this match, I liked it as well. Rhea played up that when she missed a charge into the corner, and let's see here. What happened here? Rhea's shoulder dislocated, and she keeps saying, like, it's out, like her shoulder had popped out. And she's trying to slouch it to the right shoulder to make it look like it's out. But like you could see by the way she's moving, she really didn't dislocate her shoulder. Like she's still using the full range of motion with the arm. She's just trying to slouch it. Eventually, she's trying to pop her own shoulder back in and just charges at the announce table and scares the three announcers, which is good. Anytime you can do that.
Yeah.
And then makes like she popped her own shoulder back in, which got a cheer from the crowd because like it's a badass thing to do, right?
Yeah, the crowd did pop for that. And I'll tell you what, that's a Bryan Danielson. He did that earlier this year, and that's probably the match of the year with him and Will Ospreay.
Okay.
He faked an injury and was like, "Oh, it's out." Oh, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, it's over. It's awful." And like it looks so bad that I thought it was real.
Okay.
And then I realized, oh, I was worked. And I saw Rhea Ripley do it tonight, which actually might have worked on me, but I saw it like a couple months ago. So I was like,
okay.
It didn't work. It didn't work.
I liked it. It gave Rhea something to play as far as being injured.
Yeah.
She's the monster. I won't say monster heel because she's not technically a heel, but she was the monster in this match, and Liv was going to fight from underneath, even though Liv was the champion.
It makes it more reasonable that Liv can wrestle her because she's got a dislocated shoulder.
Yeah, so like Liv, the wily, smart person who used Rhea's emotionalism against her, and Rhea injured herself because she just couldn't keep a clear head and a clear focus, and so now Liv can actually have an equal footing with this injured opponent, and Liv wrestles well. There's a couple times where Rhea kicks out of things, and the crowd is cheering because Rhea kicks out, and Liv is amazed that this happened. Rhea eventually grabs a chair and she's going to just pummel Liv with it. But Dominic stops her and says, no, you can't do that. You can't win the title that way. You'll get disqualified. You won't win the title. You won't win the title. And it sounds like he's being reasonable. And, so Rhea kind of calms down and like gets it. Okay. Yeah. All right. You can't, I can't do that. I can't do that. So now we're wondering what's going to happen. Is Rhea really going to like finish her story and win this? But, sure enough, Dominic slides the chair back into the ring, distracts the ref on the other side, allowing Liv to hit Oblivion on the steel chair. Liv slides the chair out of the ring, covers 1, 2, 3, and then of course the two now super heels embrace on the entrance ramp with the title belt.
It was an obnoxious kiss, yes.
With an obnoxious kiss, yes. Neat stuff in this match. Like at one point, Liv goes for a dive, and Dominic pushes Rhea out of the way and takes the dive.
Yeah,
like takes the brunt of the dive. So it was kind of neat, but the whole time you're thinking, all right, is he going to turn?
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to turn? And eventually, yeah, he turns.
Yeah. I thought, I think I put some in the right direction. Unfortunately, it's going to put Rhea in a tough spot, I feel like, from a character perspective, because Dom is such a great crutch for her, and they have such amazing chemistry, and it's such a funny storyline. But I think it was time to have her be a big-time star and say goodbye to the comedy act with Dom, and maybe this helps Dom a little bit, too, to maybe have somewhat of a different role within the company.
Well, you say crutch, I say anchor.
Yeah.
Her thing with Dominic Mysterio was cool when it was the reason to bring Dominic Mysterio into Judgment Day. But it eventually became an anchor for Rhea because now she had to be a heel.
Yes.
She's in this heel dynamic, but the crowd's trying to turn her babyface.
The crowd loves her.
The crowd loves her, and she's of the ability where she can be a singles wrestler. So, it was a crutch early on in making Rhea a star, but I think Rhea's outgrown that. It became an anchor towards the end. So I think everything worked out for everybody involved. The only question here is, what does Liv do now? Is Liv now stuck with an anchor for her title run? Does she join Judgment Day?
Yeah.
What becomes of her title reign?
You could even say too, like, you're gonna have a different dynamic where Mommy was just telling Dom what to do, but now you'll have Liv and Dom, and it feels like Liv's gonna be really obsessed with him, and Dom's gonna be like kind of drug around, like, oh, this is who I picked, So,
if you've been following Raw a little bit, which I try to do with the videos that WWE puts online, since Rhea's been back the last month or so, she's really kind of been condescending to Dominic Mysterio.
They've been teasing it.
And like Dom's been trying to win her back in a sense. And maybe he just got fed up.
Right.
It's like, I shouldn't have to, it's almost like, what Sami Zayn was saying about the bloodline. Like, you shouldn't have to keep proving yourself to the people who supposedly care about you.
Yes. Yeah. So, all right, that's the one.
Let's go to Damian Priest, because this was another fallout of Judgment Day. So Damian Priest was angry at what happened in this match early. And sure enough, he starts asking Finn Balor, the other members, did you guys know about this? Did you guys know about this? They go, we didn't know. We don't know. Let's split up and find Dominic and see what's going on. Later on, Finn Balor runs down to ringside during a really hard-hitting match.
Yeah, let's talk about the match a little bit. So we got
Damian Priest and Gunther.
Yeah, so it's Damian Priest
really
versus
hard-hitting.
And Gunther ends up winning the
World Heavyweight Championship. But it's how he does it.
Yeah, and then if you want to get into how he does it, go ahead.
Finn Balor comes down. It looks like to just cheer on Damian Priest. Eventually, though, Finn Balor winds up putting Gunther's foot on the ropes after Damian Priest had hit the South of Heaven, that sit out choke slam of his. And the ref has to stop it. Damian is incredulous as to what happened. He looks up at the video board in the football stadium there, sees that Finn Balor did it, and now he's enraged and looks back at Finn Balor. And Finn Balor's looking over his shoulder, kind of smirking. You're like, yeah, I got you. And then eventually this distraction allows Gunther to beat Damian Priest while Damian Priest looks strong.
Yeah, because the entire time Gunther is choking him, then he breaks free of it and he keeps trying to run toward Finn Balor.
Yep.
And then he keeps getting distracted and not worrying about the match. And then eventually, so Gunther ends up winning the match.
Yeah, the finishing long sequence here is after Damian climbs through the ropes to go after Finn Balor. Gunther catches him from behind, drags him into the ring for a sleeper. Damian hulks up, rolls into a pinning predicament, so Gunther has to break the hold. Damian goes after Finn again and grabs him by the throat. Gunther grabs Damian again from behind, power bombs him this time, applies the sleeper, and this time Damian can't hulk up. He can't escape. The ref calls for the bell. This is about a 16.5-minute match. Really entertaining, extremely hard hitting between two big guys. Gunther's chest is bleeding from the chops. Bleeding from the chops and the open hand slaps that Damian Priest has delivered.
He's cut open the hard way.
He gets color the hard way. Eventually, he realizes it, rubs his own blood onto his forehead.
Yeah. No, he was really eating it up once he started knowing he was bleeding. He was like, which is
just great stuff.
Yeah, interesting. They usually try to like dry him off or pat him down, but they just let him go. Maybe the ratings are going up, like the TV ratings. So it's like, yeah, sure, no, do it.
Well, it was also like it's not as if they could keep his chest out of the match.
This is true.
Because eventually, Damian Priest has to hit him again, and he starts bleeding again.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you gonna do? It's like your center mass is now slightly bleeding. You can't hide that.
It was so stiff, the match with the chops, and
it was
Gunther, the lariats. My God,
yeah,
you can hear every time he does a lariat, you hear it. It just looks, and you're just like, from my perspective, I'm like, what are you doing besides getting punched there? Like, and he hits him so hard in the chest with his arm that it slaps, and then they have to take a crazy bump. So
yeah, you don't need help hitting the floor when you get a lariat like that.
No,
you just got to remember to kick your feet out, and you're gonna drop.
Yeah, but although the stuff is really crazy, it's not dangerous, right? It's not like they're doing crazy stuff where he's gonna break his neck. It's just stiff stuff, It's just they're gonna be sore in the morning, but they're not gonna be wheeled off in an ambulance.
And frankly, you're taking that shot to your pectoral muscles, which for these pro wrestlers are very well developed.
Mm-hmm.
You're not taking a shot to your joint. You're taking a shot to your chest muscles.
Right.
I mean, that's going to be able to absorb a chop or a slap or a lariat. And, like you said, you've been in the ring as an indie wrestler. You're just taking a back bump.
Oh, yeah.
There's no flipping involved. There's no awkward landings involved. It's just about the timing.
Yeah.
You're going to get hit, drop down. It's a back bump. You're in great position to do it. You just have to, at the correct time, drop down, arms out, standard back bump. It's like the kind of thing you'd be trained to do.
Yeah. Real basic, simple stuff. And it looks amazing. Hey, I was going to just say, let's head to another match here. And I'm surprised. I almost wanted to lead with this one. But we got L.A. Knight versus Logan Paul. And L.A. Knight knocks off Logan Paul and wins the U.S. title after a really long reign. And quite frankly, a really great reign by Logan Paul. We had a lot of stuff going on before the match, before the bell even rang. What did you think of this one, Dom?
I liked it. They gave us something different.
Mm-hmm.
It's like every other match, there was all this pageantry. The competitors get in the ring. Everybody gets announced like crazy. And then the ref holds up the belt and it's and they go to their corners and the spotlights and everything. And these two guys, they brawl on the outside for a good 5 to 6 solid minutes before the bell finally hits.
It reinforces the hate for each other, right? Because they've been hating each other for months now. So they just start fighting each other before the bell rings. Like, I hate you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, like this made sense. The match goes 12 minutes bell to bell, plus another 5 minutes to 6 minutes with the pre-match brawl. I thought this was a great match. This was Logan Paul wrestling more of less of a gymnastics flippy match.
Yeah.
This was not Rey Mysterio. This was not Ricochet. This was not even, say, a match against like Seth Rollins
Yeah.
or something like that. This was more of an old time professional wrestling. Looked like two guys who are getting in a fight.
Yeah. LA Knight's more of a bruiser, right? Than he's
LA
not.
Knight brings that out of people, right? It's like he's fast and he's quick and he's very athletic and he can use the ropes. But when it comes down to it, it's going to be strikes, it's going to be throws, it's going to be high impact things, it's going to be reversals, offensive wrestling, defensive wrestling. Exaggerated. Yes, the crowd's going to be into it. So if you allow LA Knight to kind of lead the style of the match, you're going to be into that. And I think this was good for Logan Paul. Even though he loses the match, this was a good kind of match for him to be in.
I think this is the match of the night for me. I think it was the best match of the night.
It was really entertaining. I won't disagree.
And LA Knight winning the U.S. title felt like a big deal because you had someone that's a really, really popular face and a really, really unpopular heel in Logan Paul. As much as, I do have to say, as much as I think he doesn't want to be that heel because he's out there, he's from Cleveland, he has MGK come out with him, he's wearing the Browns colors. I think he was desperately trying to be a tweener tonight. I could just see it in his little poor eyes. Like, love me. He knows he's getting over getting the booze, but I think deep down inside, he wants to be a face.
Well, maybe this lets him. Because, he beat, what was it, Rey Mysterio for the title.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's kind of been positioned as a heel, the whole way. Maybe this lets him kind of turn face. It also makes us wonder if he now has to wrestle more and be on TV more and kind of earn that position with the crowd. He can't be the guy who has, like tonight, a 273-day title reign, and this is your third title defense.
Yeah, you can't do that. And he had on all the gear, and he's from Cleveland, and he had Machine Gun Kelly come out with him. Yes. But the crowd, he got nothing from the crowd. It's crazy. That's remarkable. Because even MJF, when he was a big time heel, MJF went back to Long Island, and they knew he'd be a face there, and they went crazy for him. So,
in that case, kudos to Logan Paul for being that good of a heel.
where he can't even get liked in his hometown, when he's wearing Cleveland Browns clothes in the Cleveland Browns stadium.
Yes, I mean, he did everything except wear a football helmet.
Yeah. He did everything except for buy everyone's tickets and buy them a beer or something like that.
Buy them a Prime Energy drink or something. Yeah. Yeah. So I like how this match is turning out here. These guys are avoiding each other's main moves. So it's not like everybody's hitting their spots and it's just a spot fest. There's a lot of guys escaping what would be high spots. And I like that. I like defensive wrestling. It makes it look more like a wrestling match to me. They wind up working back to the floor where they started for a good 5 to 6 minutes when they brawled. On the floor, Logan's lackeys are taunting LA Knight right across the barrier. So LA Knight pulls two of them over the barrier. And I guess that's fair game.
Right.
They're not regular fans where you'd get arrested for doing that. No, you can pull Logan Paul's cronies over the barrier and just start stomping a mud hole in them, as JR might say. This allowed Logan's to recover. He throws LA Knight into a ring post, then into the ring. Then MJK gives him Machine Gun Kelly. They were calling him MJK because I don't think they liked saying machine gun on WWE family television.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Whatever. So he gets the brass knuckles on a chain from Machine Gun Kelly, MGK there. LA Knight tries to suplex Logan Paul back into the ring. Logan Paul, out of the referee's field of vision, hits LA Knight in the head with the brass knuckles, then drops them so he's not seen with the evidence. As LA Knight staggers and then drops to his knees in the middle of the ring, and then tries to stand up and turn around, Logan Paul re-enters the ring with a somersault over the top rope, so-called somersault springboard, goes for some sort of strike. Maybe it was going to be a clothesline. LA Knight, though, catches him, hits a surprise blunt force trauma for the pinfall. Crowd is huge into it. They were really into this match, really behind him. When he did the dribbling Logan Paul's head off the announce table during their pre-match brawl,
They
the
love
crowd
it.
was into it. They were doing the yeah for it. They did yeah and boo when they were trading strikes. They were into LA Knight, really into him. Logan Paul was a good heel. I mean, for a big old stadium where it's hot and muggy in an open air football stadium, this felt like a smaller, more intimate arena, did it not?
Yeah, with the way the crowd was interacting. LA Knight's so over, like you said. I love when he takes us to the table and they do the yeah. It works every time, and it kind of woke them up, right? Like they weren't necessarily that into it up to that point, but it really woke them up. So I mean, I really liked the match tonight. A couple spots I wanted to talk to you about.
Yes, go for it.
I definitely, I love LA Knight. Logan Paul has really come along as a pro wrestler. He's a terrible person, but he's a good wrestler. But I like the way that Logan Paul wrestles because it's such a train wreck and a roller coaster sometimes. So during the gut wrench, LA Knight gets gut wrenched by, or excuse me, Logan Paul gets gut wrenched by LA Knight, and he takes it so weird and jumps in such a weird way that I was like, that I'm not sure if that was right. But that wasn't that big of a deal. The second one was superplex off of the corner. So when they go to do the superplex, it's so crazy. When they go to do the superplex, it almost like accidentally turns into a brain buster because when they're going back, LA Knight has him up. He does the superplex. Logan Paul keeps his legs folded rather than.
It's like he didn't jump into it.
Yeah.
It's like he didn't jump into it off of when they were both on the top turnbuckle. You're supposed to jump to help the momentum and also to help your momentum get over.
Yeah. And so he ends up landing flat on his back, which is good. He landed at the right spot. But the thing was, when he was going over, I thought, oh no, like he's gonna break his neck. But he managed to force himself to like torque over enough that he didn't hit his neck. But you saw right away the ref was like went right to him because it looked so nasty.
Yep, it looked like a brain buster instead of a suplex.
Yeah, exactly. It looked like a brain buster instead of a suplex, but they intended it to be a suplex.
Yes,
that's not good, Dom.
That was LA Knight's leap to the top turnbuckle, grab the guy in a front face lock, superplex. Except Logan Paul may have sandbagged him. And so now it began. Fortunately, LA Knight's a little bit bigger and has a weight advantage and was able to kind of get Logan Paul over enough so that Logan Paul could tuck his head and land shoulders and then the rest of his back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yes, that looked like it was going to be dangerous.
I know it looked bad. Another thing was, maybe just one more. When he does the backflip off of the top rope and LA Knight catches him, it looks like like the way that they landed, it's not like he caught him too well. And it looks like the way he landed, he landed and his leg was all bent up, Logan Paul. So he landed
like he overshot it. That was the one to the floor, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic athletic move by Logan Paul, right? He kind of springboard moonsaulted himself onto LA Knight on the floor, but it looked like he overshot LA Knight.
Yeah, exactly. And it was crazy, but again, like I just have to say this, it's very entertaining, and he's a good wrestler. Like if people go out there and they don't look so smooth, it kind of adds to realism, right? Mm-hmm. Like when it doesn't look like that, every other person takes a suplex like that, it just looks the same. With him, you don't know what the hell he's going to do when he's up there.
It's like, well, I don't know. I know what this move is supposed to be. I know what this move looks like, but I don't know what this move will be.
It's almost like he's very unorthodox and athletic. So his athleticism, he can help him make up for his unorthodox style. So maybe
he's a little green still with his timing. He's getting his timing down with other wrestlers. And maybe he just needs to wrestle more.
Yes. Maybe needs some ring time. He's probably on his 15th match? Literally.
In 2 years.
and he's in pay-per-views. He's like on main events and stuff. And he's going on to like his 16th match. I mean, I know he does a lot of work behind the scenes. That's very clear.
Sure.
He wouldn't be as good as he is today if he wasn't practicing a lot. But yeah, he might need that bell to bell time. Maybe a dark match here or there, you know?
Yeah, I mean, this was great match. Some counters and things going on. Logan Paul's getting "you suck" chants after posing to the crowd, which is great. Is great. That's maybe when you saw you were pointing at maybe the little tear, like he wants so much for them to love him.
He wants to love. I can tell.
He does. LA Knight at some point hits a sit-out Uranagi, which I haven't seen from him before. Great looking move. Waits for Logan Paul to roll over onto his back as he's climbing the top turnbuckle. Hits a top turn elbow drop. Gets a 2 count out of it. That was right before Logan Paul recovered for that springboard moonsault to the floor. Another great point. LA ducks the one lucky punch, but then Logan slides out of a blunt force trauma attempt and does a crucifix for a 2 count. Logan follows with hitting the punch, but LA Knight kicks out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, another time LA Knight avoids a top turnbuckle move. Then as LA Knight's going for a blunt force trauma, they're still in the corner. Logan Paul holds onto the ropes to block it. So a really creative way to block that there. I like, as green as Logan Paul sometimes looks in the ring, when he was wrestling these reversal and escape sequences with LA Knight, he did look like a pro.
Yeah, for
sure.
Like
these sequences came off well. And maybe that's a tribute to the fact that LA Knight has gotten, enough ring time in his career to make up for both of them.
Mm-hmm. Right. Hey, listen, that's anything...
You want to move on here? That was a great title change, and I will not disagree that that's match of the night.
No, but we have 2 more matches we got to talk about.
Sure.
You want to pick the next one?
Right before this was a match that we called out on our pre-show Cheap Heat. We thought that Braun Breaker was going to defeat Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship. He does. The match lasts 5.5 to 6 minutes. Little surprising that a premium live event title match goes under 6 minutes.
They might not have had time. They might have forced them to 6 minutes. Although they were early to not have a lot of time.
This was the second match of the night. The gaps between matches were twice as long as this match.
Yeah.
I don't think they desperately needed to get that many commercials.
Yeah, it's weird because you would want to see Sami Zayn, who's been a champ for the last 6 months as an Intercontinental champ. He beat Gunther. He broke the streak. You'd think he'd go out a little stronger than that.
And these guys wrestled a great match at the previous premium live event. It went about 13.5 minutes. It looked great. Sami retained. This one, Sami hits an exploder, then charges in for a haluva kick. Braun catches him with a spear, though. Then as Sami's staggering up, Braun Breaker does the rope running for extra momentum spear and pins Sami. And, Sami just folds up like a napkin, as Diamond Dallas Page used to say about taking a spear the right way. Braun looks strong, maybe too strong. This kind of makes Sami out to be a transitional champion in a way, but it was a great transitional champion because it looks like it went from one monster to another monster, and in between they gave it to a really popular babyface that they knew the crowd wouldn't mind seeing with the belt and who would have a great run with it however long they wanted it to be. So kudos to Sami Zayn for a great title run. For putting over the up-and-coming star. And even though it was a short match, made him look good in this. And now maybe Sami gets to be freed up to join as you fantasy booked before. Maybe he's going to help Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso and eventually Roman Reigns. So a lot of possibilities for Sami Zayn here. Do we think, tell us in the chat, tell us in the comments before John and I answer, do we think Braun Breaker is now set up for a very long title reign here?
Yeah, let us know what you guys think in the chat. There's a good amount of people right now on YouTube and Twitch, so I know it's probably a pretty hot night to make a live stream after SummerSlam. So appreciate you hanging on and throw what you're thinking in the comment or the chat, and we'll respond to it. So,
I
anyways,
say yes.
okay, you think yes then?
I think yes. I think Braun has to have a long title reign.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, Dom, yeah, if he's going to knock off Sami Zayn in the form of a squash. Now, is he going to just keep doing squashes like Goldberg style, or is he going to have real matches?
They may have him in a few easier matches to begin with because it's only the IC belt.
Mm-hmm.
And so guys can, kind of get a shot at that. It's not like it's the World Heavyweight Championship. So maybe he's involved in some sub 10-minute matches. It'll be interesting to see how they book it for the remaining premium live events for the rest of the year. Will he have a big defense at Survivor Series?
Yeah.
They can maybe not have him have these huge title defenses between here and Survivor Series. And then the question becomes, does he hold it through Royal Rumble or all the way to WrestleMania? I think he's going to have a very healthy looking title reign here.
I foresee in the future poor Chad Gable wrestling a match with him that's probably going to be awesome. He's going to lose. Austin Theory, he's on the plate right now. He'll wrestle an awesome match. He'll lose. Maybe Grayson Waller gets thrown in there. He'll wrestle a match with him. He'll lose. He'll start to pad his stats right before he moves forward.
Yes,
or drops it. Yeah, and these guys, they got plenty of people apparently ready to lose because I saw Grayson or Austin Theory tonight take a chair shot from Jelly Roll and got beat up by Jelly Roll, a big sloppy country music star.
Yes. Yep. It did. I mean, he's got the size advantage on there, but poor Austin Theory.
Poor Austin Theory. He better be getting paid pretty well. Maybe there's maybe he's got like a really good contract, and they're like, "Listen, kid, you're making good money. Just go out there and do your thing."
For not being involved in a match, he got involved in a huge pop and was on the second biggest premium live event of the year. So good for him. We've seen this before, the Braun Breaker, if this winds up being the formula. We saw it with Gunther. He wasn't on the main roster very long before they put the belt on him.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of, can he work it? Because Gunther was not Gunther when he first won the belt. He became Gunther.
Yeah, but
so
the thing
Braun can become Braun.
When Gunther was in the Indies and when he was Walter in NXT UK, there was so much hype behind him. Everyone knew he was the real deal. And I think the hype was he's got a lot more years in pro wrestling. Steiner or Braun Breaker, his dad's in wrestling. That's what he's been known for. I mean, he's got a great spear, but and
he was at a very celebrated NXT run as well.
Yeah.
To the point where they had to stop putting just NXT belts on him because it become, all right, well, we can't just have this indomitable guy keep the belt.
Yeah.
All the time. And then they were kind of grooming him to get up to the main roster and do something. So the formula's there for Gunther to work with Braun. Now, the question will be is Braun will do it as a baby face, it looks like, because the crowd likes him.
Yeah, he's a face.
The crowd
likes hear the crowd barking?
They're barking along with him.
I love the barking thing. That's such a good idea.
Bringing it back. He's probably the only person who could bring it back. Like his dad used to do the dog face gremlin gimmick. The barking. So Braun is probably the only one who can bring that back. So good for him. The formula's there if you want to build a guy into a world-class champion while the belt's on him, rather than make him work his way up to that and then put the belt on him. So I think it's there. I think this is going to be a long title. I think Braun keeps it at least to the end of calendar year 2024. And then it becomes a question of, does he drop it at some point in 2025?
Yeah. And now we have 2 matches left here. I don't know where you want to go first, the championship match or the Drew McIntyre CM Punk match.
Let's save the match that had the most star power, which was the only one without a belt, for last. Bayley versus Nia Jax. Nia Jax wins this one.
Yeah.
With let's see here. She catches Bayley bouncing off the ropes and hits a pop-up power bomb on her, then another power bomb, then hits an annihilator, and then a second annihilator for the pinfall. This match goes about 12 and a half minutes. The reason why it took 2 annihilators there at the end is because Nia had done an annihilator earlier, and Bayley kicked out at 2.5 to surprise everybody. So they kind of built to the fact that, Nia Jax's usual just bully tactics weren't going to work on Bayley.
You know what the other thing is too? The actual match, or I should say the actual finish, was really brought on by Tiffany Stratton coming down to cash in the Money in the Bank. So
yes.
that added an aspect where she faked the cash in the Money in the Bank. Bayley got confused and then distracted, and that sent everything heading momentum in the other direction.
Yes, because Bayley went to attack Tiffany Stratton, and that gave Nia a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah. Believe it or not, some more interference and hooker crook stuff in a match tonight, So that was a theme of tonight.
Just a little distraction on the outside. Nobody actually interfering with maybe a foreign object or something. Good distraction on the outside. I like that. I like when heels distract the opponent, but don't necessarily take a chair shot while the ref's not looking. So I like this. Other things, Nia, we could hear her on the roving camera and microphone there taunting Bayley at one point, saying, "Oh, I'm so reckless. I'm so clumsy."
Right.
I like that, referencing Nia's heat. It shows you that Nia's really grown past that, that she can now, she's okay having that be part of the gimmick.
Right.
Like other wrestlers, goofing on her for being a dangerous wrestler to work with in her past. So I like that. How about Bayley hitting a power bomb on Nia Jax? Nia goes up for an annihilator. Bayley recovers before Nia can see her, and she, now with Nia up on the second turnbuckle, can hit the power bomb there. But she doesn't just do it right off the ropes. Bayley carries her a few steps into the middle of the ring. Big test of strength there, and power bombs her and gets a holy shit chant from the crowd.
That spot was so great because they wrestled at such a pace and didn't do anything crazy. And then they finally move up to that spot where she power bombs this huge woman. Nia Jax, she's a big woman, right?
Yes.
He power bombs this big woman. And I was like, this is such a great way to, luchadors in the back. Are you paying attention? If you do all the high spots in the beginning, then nobody cares. All they did was a power bomb off the top rope. And it was like, oh my God, they did a holy shit chant. It was the craziest thing they had ever seen.
Right. And then, because of how they did it, we've seen plenty of times where they do those snap power bombs out of the turnbuckle, where the person delivering the move barely has to do anything. Right? Your opponent's already up for you, and if the timing's there and they jump backwards as you go for the power bomb, then you almost have to do nothing. Bayley turned this into an impressive display of her own physical strength. And it's not like she awkwardly dropped Nia Jax. She walked a few steps out of that corner, holding Nia up in balance. That was an impressive display of strength by Bayley. She then delivered a not awkward-looking power bomb, like when Kevin Nash tried to power bomb the Big Show when he was the Giant in WCW, and really couldn't get him up enough for the jackknife power bomb, and almost seriously injured Paul White's neck.
Right.
I mean, Bayley kept Nia up there. Perfect balance, and then a perfectly executed power bomb. And then Bayley climbed up to the top turnbuckle and did a top turn elbow drop for a 2.5 count there. So great sequence all around. Crowd appreciated it. It was fantastic. And that's when Tiffany Stratton's music hit. When it looked like Nia Jax was done for and Bayley was just going to follow up again and win the match. So great timing, great story told there. Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton now they continue their awkward relationship where Miss Money in the Bank is now allied with the person whom she would be cashing in on.
Right. Yeah.
How is that going to work out?
Mm-hmm.
Unless Tiffy Time cashes in on Liv Morgan at some point.
Or she's going to just do it one day. Who knows?
One day she's just going to whack Nia Jax with that briefcase, hand it to the ref, hit the prettiest moonsault ever.
I thought she was cashing in tonight, and they finally were breaking up that little friendship they have.
Right, but you didn't want to have that happen twice in a row.
And
there's a title change, and then 5 minutes later, the Money in the Bank cash in.
And I love the combo of Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton. Nia Jax is a big veteran who's improved and now a champion, but she's heard it for the last couple of years how bad she is, and she's improved a lot. But she's always been a good personality, and to match her up now with a young Tiffany Stratton who's super athletic, super she does all the high spots. She's got all the things she needs to be a star. I like
and
that.
Fantastic video that you made about the Alabama Slam on the Don't Bury the Lead channel. If you're watching us on Twitch, if you're watching us on Twitter, head over to YouTube. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Go into our archive and find it's very recent. It was put up just Friday, the August 2nd there.
Yeah.
Friday, August 2nd. Great edited breakdown analysis you did of Tiffany Stratton and the Alabama Slam. Little Crash Holly in there, little Rob Van Dam in there. Go watch that. Tiffany Stratton it's going to be big sis, little sis dynamic with Nia Jax. But the only reason why Tiffany Stratton is little sis is because Nia Jax is so enormous as a heel. Tiffany Stratton's about 5'7". She's very athletic. She's very strong.
Mm-hmm. Straight up strong.
She could be a power wrestler against most of the roster.
Yeah, for sure.
So, this is going to be a fun combination to watch. And make sure you head over to Don't Bury the Lead. Watch that video. Almost got 1,000 views in its first day. So head on over there.
Thanks, Dom. Appreciate the shout out.
Yes.
Yeah, we've been doing some other different things with the channel here, so that was one of them. But I don't want to bury the show here. We're close to an hour in here, but let's keep going. We'll talk about the most stars, the match with the most stars on it. We were saving that for the end. We have CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre, and Seth Rollins is the special guest referee. And this comes into a lot of fanfare with people ready for this match because the build's been fantastic. Drew McIntyre is doing terrible stuff to CM Punk on the internet. CM Punk also is doing terrible stuff to Drew McIntyre on the internet that we've covered at great lengths. But tonight was the time for the match, and Drew McIntyre beats CM Punk after an exchange between Seth Rollins and CM Punk. A lot of stuff was going on with this match. Dom, what'd you think of this one?
Oh boy, this match goes 17 minutes, and the last 4 or so are really where you get the most crazy amount of stuff. I mean, it's a good ring psychology match for the early going. Seth Rollins, a special ref, is letting them fight. They go to the outside and brawl. Seth doesn't even bother giving them the 10 count. He's just lounging up on the top rope, just waiting for them to get back in the ring. So good fight all around. Each guy giving it to Seth Rollins for what they thought was a slow count. I thought Seth was counting a little fast compared to how WWE officials usually do it.
Yeah.
So if anything, the wrestler trying to kick out had the beef that, hey, that's a fast count there. But at some point, Drew has the advantage most of the match, gets a chair, and this is where stuff really gets a little iffy here. At that point, he's telling Seth Rollins, look, just turn around, let me beat the crap out of him with this chair. We both want this. Just turn around. So Seth teases he's going to turn around and let it happen, but then he comes up behind Drew and snatches the chair away from him and says no. At this point, Punk gets the advantage, stacks up Drew for what would have been a pinfall, but Seth was slow to cover because he was getting the chair out of the ring. This annoys Punk. Punk winds up hitting a top turn elbow drop for a 2 count, applies an anaconda vice, and rips his bracelet off of Drew's wrist. That was one of their storyline things, was Drew McIntyre had stolen CM Punk's wrist bracelet there that had his wife's name and his dog's name on it. Hello, shout out for people in the chat there. Thanks for joining with us and sticking with us here. We are talking about CM Punk and Drew McIntyre here. So as this match goes on, now Punk tries to get this bracelet off of Drew's wrist, which he does, but it just kind of flings away from each of them. Drew recovers and winds up hitting a Claymore for a 2 count. Drew takes a lot of time deciding what to do next. And that's where things start getting even extra weird here. He slowly goes for a future shock DDT. Punk slithers out. Drew charges at him in the corner. Punk avoids him. Drew hits the ring post. Punk gestures for a go to sleep. Gets Drew up on his shoulders. And at that point, he notices Seth wearing his bracelet. Like, to make sure that the bracelet didn't get stepped on or anything, Seth picked it up and just put it on his wrist.
Yeah.
Punk thinks Seth is kind of trying to get one over on him there. Says, what are you doing? It's like, I'm just holding it. It was on the ring. I didn't want it to get lost. I'm just holding it. And Punk's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? At this point, he's letting Drew recover. He ambushes Punk, but also knocks Seth out of the ring. Now, Punk manages to counter Drew here and hit the go to sleep, but Seth has been knocked out of the ring. There's no ref. The crowd is counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They get up to like 6 by the time Seth gets into the ring and counts. Drew kicks out at 2, which was like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Punk is now arguing with Seth, who trash talks right back out of him. It's not always about you.
Yeah, that
and
was
at one
great.
point he goes, it's not about you, asshole.
Yeah.
So Punk looks like he's going to turn away, hits the go to sleep on Seth Rollins, looks down at Seth and says, it ain't always about me, but it's never about you. Punk takes the bracelet off of Seth, puts it on his own wrist, but Drew has recovered, low blows CM Punk, then the Claymore, then looks right at Seth Rollins as he covers CM Punk and is yelling at him, count, count. Seth Rollins recovers, comes over, gets his bearings. 1, pauses. 2, pauses, and almost reluctantly counts that third count there. You know, that third strike of the mat. Drew McIntyre wins. Post-match, Seth walks out of the ring first, disgusted, rips off the referee's shirt. He's not happy with how the match turned out and what he wound up doing.
He's out.
Drew takes Punk's bracelet again, and he walks off second as a couple of referees tend to CM Punk in the ring. So this storyline is continuing here. Almost nothing has been resolved. This was a fun match. Nobody in this match liked each other. I really enjoyed the dynamics. This could have been match of the night if you were also counting in the storyline and the way they made the referee hates both guys dynamic work. I don't think the action was as good as LA Knight Logan Paul, but this was an entertaining match, and with all the twists and turns, this one also could have been match of the night.
Yeah, it was a really goofy it was, I shouldn't say goofy. It was really unique in the way that they built it up with the special guest referee that hates both the guys, and he's involved the whole time. I liked how Drew was handling CM Punk for a lot of the match, because Drew is so much bigger than CM Punk.
Yes.
And CM Punk is an old man. You know, like, it would be ridiculous to see them go back and forth and like go toe to toe. It's like, no, Drew is a towering monster.
Yep.
Like, so they correctly had Drew beaten up on CM Punk for most of the match. And hey, CM Punk's the face. He can do that. Then he can fire up when he needs to, right?
Yep. CM Punk's going to work from underneath.
Yeah.
In a match where both guys were heels, CM Punk had a chance to be more babyface.
Yeah. And then with the what's it, the bracelet,
Yes.
I was like, oh, this is cheesy. But then I ended up liking it.
Okay.
I ended up liking the whole thing at the end because I'm like, why are they so obsessed with the bracelet? This is like, okay. But then I let myself accept pro wrestling for what it is. I was like, don't be a curmudgeon, just to go with it. And then I'm glad I did because I enjoyed the rest of the match. I really enjoyed Seth Rollins' speech to CM Punk. He's like,
Yeah.
because he's giving him all this crap. And he's like, it's not always about you, Phil. Nobody wanted you here. We didn't want you back. And here you are. But it's not always about you, you asshole. Blah, 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 blah. You could tell that he hates him for real life, or at least for like his real life personality. And
This
that,
has been building since, remember, Survivor Series War Games in Chicago in November when
yeah.
CM Punk came back at the end of the night after the War Games match. And Drew McIntyre was ticked off that CM Punk was back, marched out of the cage first. And then Seth Rollins was also ticked off and trying to get at CM Punk up at the entranceway. So this has been building since War Games, that both Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre hate the fact that CM Punk just walked back into this company as a conquering hero.
Yeah. And
felt like a shoot, right?
yes. Oh, yeah, for sure. It felt like a shoot. I think there was some aspects of it where it was a shoot with Seth Rollins saying they didn't want Phil back into the company.
Yep.
Because he's a cancer. And
Yeah.
I think that was a shoot. And then he came back. So then it's like, all right, well, let's play off of it. But yeah, so I think it's time for the thumb drive. Or do you want to talk about anything else before we go to the thumb drive?
No, we're done with all 7 matches on this super duper premium live event here. Bigger than your regular premium live event that usually only has about 5 matches on it. This was great. We got 6 title belts plus a star-studded non-title grudge match that's been building longer than all of the other ones. Some neat stuff that happened in this show. Logan Paul, I think, was the longest reigning singles champion in the company before losing the belt tonight. Is Liv Morgan the first person to pin Rhea Ripley twice in a singles match on the main roster?
Maybe.
They mentioned she was the first woman to pin Ronda Rousey twice. So I think she's the first person to pin Rhea Ripley twice on the main roster. She was the last person to pin Rhea Ripley more than 2 years ago, and now she did it again tonight. So a lot of little trivia things here. LA Knight, new champion, first-time champ. Braun Breaker, new champion, first-time champ. Gunther, first time with a world title. Nia Jax, I don't think this is her first time with a world title. And Cody Rhodes retaining along with Liv Morgan. So most of the belts changed hands, but not all of them. So interesting. One more thing. You have mentioned SummerSlam being more of a heel pay-per-view than, say, WrestleMania being more of a baby-safe pay-per-view. Did it have that feel to it tonight? Combination of who won matches and or shenanigans going down? Did it seem like there was a lot of heel? I thought maybe not a lot of heel stuff going on with who won matches. Because it looks like Braun's about to turn face. LA Knight is a face. Cody Rhodes is a face. They all won.
I don't think it followed that normal trajectory where all the heels win.
But we had 2 heels cost people matches, right? It looks like Judgment Day's breaking up.
Yeah.
Like it felt like Damian Priest by the end of his match was a babyface. And he lost that match to the heel because of heel interference.
Yeah.
And it looked like Rhea Ripley became a babyface tonight because of heel interference.
Usually
like the heel won.
Usually the big belt gets dropped on SummerSlam, and then a face can chase into WrestleMania. That's what I mean by SummerSlam was always like a heel show. The heels get the belts, then they go to WrestleMania, then the heels lose it to the faces, and then the faces have it and they lose it to the heels. It just rotates round and round.
Okay. Well, that was us taking the scenic route on the drive here. It's drive time, isn't it?
Dom, is it drive time?
It is. That's all that's left. It's drive time. It's the thumb drive. That's where you and I are going to distill this entire event that we just watched into a simple thumbs up or a thumbs down. There are no thumbs in the middle. There are no ties. There are also no star ratings, no letter grades, no number grades. You are taking this course pass, fail.
That's right, Dom. We're not Dave Meltzer. We don't do star ratings. We don't do 7 stars to the Tokyo Dome. We don't do 2 stars on WWE Heat. We don't do, WWE's in Japan. Oh, everything's 5 stars. No, we don't do star ratings. We only do a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So are you ready?
I believe so, my friend.
3, 2, 1. Oh, pretty easy pick here.
Yeah, I could have done without the comedy jelly roll spot, but if it allowed Austin Theory and Grayson Waller to get a paycheck and R-Truth and The Miz, good for them. And I could have done without the Intercontinental title match, what looked like it could have been on Raw, and even then it would have been a slightly lackluster Raw title match. But everything else on the show was good to great.
Yeah, for sure. I liked I picked LA Knight and Logan Paul as the match of the night, and probably one of the better matches I've seen in a while. And it could have been a couple other matches too. I love the Nia Jax Bayley match. That match was good. Who would have? Yep. And Nia has just been on fire. I really like that with her. A couple other matches like the CM Punk, Drew McIntyre with Seth Rollins. That was good. Roman Reigns returns, which that's fun. You can see Roman Reigns return in a crazy pop. So the show had a lot of variety to it. Gunther and Damian Priest beat the hell out of each other.
Yes.
Different styles of wrestling, a lot of variety to it. The crowd was receptive to all the good stuff they were seeing. Good SummerSlam.
Couldn't put it better myself. That's wonderful to put a bow on it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, Tom, I typically will wander on down to the Italian goodbye, but this one.
But we did Cheap Heat before tonight's show. Check out. This is our second live stream of the day. Head on over to Don't Bury the Lead, a wrestling channel on YouTube. We just hit 3,000 watch hours. We've hit over 300,000 combined video views. We're over 700,000 subscribers. Please help us boost all those numbers. We are close to hitting the next big YouTube partner benchmark. So we're almost there. And if you're over on the YouTube channel, you can watch the Cheap Heat live stream from earlier today around 6:30 to around 7 p.m. Eastern time here in the U.S. right before SummerSlam. So we don't have any Cheap Heat to do. We already did it.
That's right. We already did the Cheap Heat. We did it earlier tonight. We're applying for monetization, so that's really helpful. And so thanks for everyone that's ever kind of clicked in one of our videos and watched. It's very helpful, and appreciate you guys hopping on. We have 3 people still hanging out here on the chat. You guys have anything to say? Let us know. Any questions? We'll hang out for a minute here, but I'm gonna.
What was your match of the night in the chat? LA Knight, Logan Paul, Drew versus CM Punk, Gunther versus Damian Priest. One of the women's matches, Bayley, Nia Jax. Was it the schmaz with bloodline rules at the end? What was your match of the night tonight?
And I do want to mention another thing. I gotta I gotta go, and I'm gonna have to get this video out tonight. So I'm gonna edit the video and then send it out tonight. So I think I'm gonna end the stream a little early. Well, not early. It's 12:30, but due to the lateness of the show, we got a lot of content coming down the alley. We'll be doing the Cheap Heat, and then this one here will be released at tonight, so it'll hit everyone tomorrow morning. So my name's John Zindel. Dom, thanks so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate your help with this. And everyone, we had a lot of people jump onto the chat tonight, or actually jump onto the show. So thanks so much for joining. Have a great rest of